Hello and welcome back to Everlasting Summer, and I apologize that this is going up so much later than I was expecting to be able to post it, but honestly, not for any particular reason other than the fact that this is the one I do twice a week instead of like 3 times a week. This is the last on my priority list of things get recorded, and when I came to actually have a chance to record it, that disappeared, and then my emergency ones that usually come up within the next couple days before it starts or the night after also fell apart pretty quickly. And again, my apologies. I meant to get this up much earlier, and I'll try to get the next episode of this up, assuming that there's more than one episode left. I actually think I'm starting to get towards the ending of this. Assuming that there is, I'm going to try to get that up much quicker than I normally get them up, so 2 episodes relatively quickly, assuming there's 2 left. Okay. I stepped out of the infirmary and leaned against the wall. Last time we were playing doctor. Yeah, that is, now that I think about it, we were literally just playing doctor. That was weird. I wonder what might she be doing, something that I can't even see? Oh yeah, and it was something about Slavia. Slavia was doing something sort of suspicious. After a minute, the door opened and Slavia came out. She was carrying a small bundle. Ask about the bundle? What is it? Nothing. She blushed. Thank you. You're welcome. Slavia ran away. Seemed like I shouldn't have asked. There's so many things it seems like I shouldn't have done. I looked at the time. It was getting late. I read the magazine backwards and forwards, but the nurse still wasn't here. Suddenly the door burst open and Elisa rushed inside. She looked at me piercingly. What are you doing here? Sitting. Just sitting around, taking in the environment. I admitted honestly. Okay then. It's even better without the nurse, she murmured. Are you sick? I asked acidly. Elisa didn't answer and came closer to me. Move over. Why? So I can open the drawer, isn't it obvious? What for? She got angry. None of your business. Well, I'm kind of in charge here. She gave it a moment's thought. And give me some activated carbon. Stomachache? Yeah. She grinned sharply. I got the feeling there was something wrong here. I mean, clearly she's up to something. But other than my general distrust of her in every single situation, do I really have a reason not to give it to her? I also don't know what else you can use activated carbon for. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure what activated carbon is, but I mean, realistically. But you never know. What if she really has an ache? Okay. I reached into the drawer and got out a packet of activated carbon. Thanks. She wrestled it from my hand and ran away. That's probably not going to end very well now, is it? It was 15 minutes till dinner, and the nurse still wasn't back. I guess just leaving this place won't do. She asked me to look after it after all. And who knows what might happen if I leave. Though, who would want to steal anything from here? Like Elisa, except for Elisa, stealing activated carbon. I opened the magazine again and began flipping through for the nth time. The fashions of the 80s weren't that fun anymore. Nodding got me several times. It was already 6 o'clock, so dinner has already started. Of course, I had to be on the watch till the end, but my stomach seemed to have opinion of its own on the matter. I stood up and steadily headed to the exit. A rustling sound came from behind the door. Could it be someone else who got poisoned, broke their arm, or something even worse? I sighed heavily and pulled the doorknob. However, there was no one out there. Seems like it was only my imagination. I returned inside and instantly noticed something had changed in the infirmary. To be precise, an apple had appeared on the table. Oh, yeah. Okay, things are getting a little weird here. I don't know, over the past day especially, I remember things had been getting particularly odd. Like, some weird situations had started popping up, and some things were starting to not make as much sense. But where from? Fruits can't just materialize from thin air by themselves, can they? Though, in this camp, anything might be possible. Chances are someone brought it here. Maybe Lena wanted to thank me, given that she's all shy and... But wait, how could she just slip past me like that? Lena wouldn't climb through the window after all. So there must be something else. I was suddenly overwhelmed by fear. What if the apple is poisoned? Though, why would someone complicate things when I'm totally here, helpless, and can be killed way more easily than that? Or, it might be the apple which Eve tasted in the Garden of Eden. Yeah, that makes sense, Semyon. That seems like a great idea. In that case, I certainly shouldn't eat it. The same second, my stomach reminded me that it was there rumbling traitorously. However, it would take time to close the infirmary, to reach the canteen, to get food. My stomach is about to eat itself, but there's nothing wrong, I guess. Once again, I tried to remember if the apple was here before. In the end, it must have appeared from somewhere. Maybe it got here through the window? The shutter was slightly open. Someone must have reached it and put it here. Nothing serious, however. No. This is so suspicious. No. Even assuming this is a normal apple, in any case, I shouldn't eat unwashed fruits. Just like that, I found a reason for my fear and put the apple away. It was time to go for dinner. Along the way, I ran into Electronic. How is it? Did you find Shirk? No, still no sign of him. Don't worry, we'll find him. I tried to cheer him up. Too much time has passed. I just keep on searching. What about dinner? No, finding Shirk is more important. He muttered thoughtfully. I left him at the crossroads and wished him good luck. Pioneers crowded in the doorway. I quickened my pace, trying not to be the last one in line, at least for today. And I was lucky. In the far corner was an absolutely empty table. I took my dinner quickly and sat at the table. Tonight's dinner consisted of a fruit soup and a pair of buns. This set surprised me at first, but the taste was actually nice. I concentrated on eating. Lena, let's go here. Look, 3 free chairs. And that's the wonder of picking out an empty table. It means you don't get to choose who ends up sitting with you. Oh, is that Miku there? Huh. Lena and Miku stood in front of me. Are these taken? Wondered Lena. No. Take a seat. Of course, I wish she were alone. Oh my goodness. Thank you. As soon as Lena said that, Zhenya jumped out from behind her back. I'll sit here. There are no places left, she said, putting her tray on the table and sitting down, not even waiting for my answer. Sure, I guess make yourself at home, I muttered sorrowfully. What? Nothing. To tell the truth, I wanted to reduce the whole company to just Lena, though neither Miku nor Zhenya was causing much trouble. Except one was talkative and the other too arrogant. But nevertheless, they were absolutely harmless, especially comparing to some of the others I can name. Oh, it seems like I forgot my key. Oh, don't worry, take mine. I was surprised by Miku's short reply. Do you live together? Of course, didn't you know? Together, our cabin is the rearmost. Farthest from here. The last one. I wouldn't have been surprised if somebody told me Lena lives Slavia. Or Zhenya at worst. Or even Electronic. But silent, shy Lena and excessively talkative Miku as a pair? That's really a surprise. Did you find Shirk? It's strange that Zhenya is disturbed by someone's problems. No. Surely he is at the village buying cigarettes. Or vodka. I didn't even think of that. That might be possible. Zhenya, maybe you should go to the village and go buy some cigarettes and vodka and see if he turns up being there. I don't know. That might be a good role for you to play. She snorted. Village? At that moment, the conversation got much more interesting. Got a problem with the villages? Zhenya looked amazed. You mean there's a village nearby? I think so, she said uncertainly. I looked at Lena and Miku, but they were too busy with their meals and did not pay attention to our conversation. You mean you don't know exactly? Why should I care? Jenny stared at her dish. But there must be something nearby. Listen. Listening? I don't know. Will you let me eat? It seems like I won't get anything from her, though there's a chance she really doesn't know. The remaining time spent listening to Miko talking about some nonsense, I was just going slowly mad in silence. Oh my goodness. Obviously, the first thing I did after getting out was inhale a great breath of fresh air. The sun was setting. I decided to take a walk. It's highly unlikely that I will find anything more exciting to do for the rest of the evening. That way, something interesting could arise quite unexpectedly. I was approaching the square when I heard a loud bang. It seemed something had exploded. Maybe it was the apple. I was paralyzed. I am in a hostile environment, not knowing the rules or the laws of this place. It would be better for me to run. But at the same time, I was curious. Probably, I would have just kept standing there. But somebody grabbed my hands. It was Olga. Why are you standing here? Let's go and see what happened. No, you stupid. Why are you a camp leader? It was an explosion. Some loud bang thing. And you grab a student's hand and just say, let's go look at the explosion together. No, you should be saying, get to safety. I'm going to go check it out. You irresponsible person. Can you ever manage without me? I begged her pitifully. It shouldn't be anything serious. I hope. Why would you assume that? Why would anyone assume that's not how you assume things? You don't assume the best case scenario. Oh my goodness. When I came to the square, there was already a crowd of pioneers. And Shurk had, I guess, set off a bomb, maybe? I don't know. This could be anything. Then again, Slavia also had a bundle of things, didn't she, earlier? I have no idea. I've seen nothing that actually suggests someone setting off a bomb or someone doing anything that would cause this. Olga was vigorously pushing through the crowd and approached the crime scene. Obviously, someone had tried to blow up Genda. But the attackers failed, and the monument was still standing upright. There was only dim ash traces on the pedestal. Well, who did this? She looked over the crowd of pioneers. Surely it wasn't done by an organized terrorist organization. These guys all came here just to look at what happened. I noticed Ulyana and Elisa in the crowd. I wonder if you could use the carbonated thing in order to do this. What was it? Activated carbon, that's what Elisa was looking for. I will totally vouch against her if that is a method of making this bomb. You two, come here. They approached reluctantly. Why always me? If you think so. Show me your hands. What's wrong with them? I looked closer and saw they were smeared with black. Now it's clear. What did you make a bomb with? The junior terrorist seemed to hesitate over whether or not to confess, but then blurted out proudly. Activated carbon, salt, pepper, and sulfur. Why exactly the monument? And what did this honored man ever do to you? The fighter for the rights of... Besides, he gave me the activated carbon. She pointed at me with her finger. The whole square stared at me. Oh my goodness, who the fuck cares? I gave you something for your stomachache. I can't stop you from doing shit with it. Thoughts about the pointlessness of this act due to the small bomb size left me at the very moment. She stole it. I did nothing. Oh my goodness, you idiot, Semyon. You're not really at fault here. Oh my goodness. Even if he gave it to you, I'm sure Semyon would never take part in such a disgusting antisocial act. Yes, exactly. I agreed. I could hardly imagine how long she would have kept scolding Elisa if Electronic hadn't popped out at the very moment shouting, I found it! I found it! I found it! Everyone turned towards him. He held a boot in his hand. Here! Electronic boastfully shook it over his head. It's Shurik's boot. Okay, calm down. Tell us in detail where you found it. In the forest. Or on the way to the old camp. Whispers ran among the pioneers. The old camp. Are you sure? Absolutely. What's so special about this old camp? I joined in the conversation. It's nothing special, really. She stammered. One of Sovionok's legends tells the story of a young camp's leader's ghost living there. She fell in love with the pioneer, but he rejected her, so she killed herself. Damn. Speak of getting surprisingly dark. She committed harakiri with a kitchen knife. Next day that boy was hit by a bus. Oyana ran out of the crowd. Bus? I refrained from asking about the route number. But science doesn't actually acknowledge the existence of ghosts, so we have nothing to be afraid of. You know, that's a really weird way of phrasing it. Acknowledge the existence of? That seems like you believe in ghosts. Okay. Anyway, someone should go there. Suddenly the crowd started to thin out. Olga, it's almost night. Maybe tomorrow? I turned around and saw Slavia and Lena. What if at night something happens to him? No, today, right now. By the way, where is this place? Electronic roughly described to me the direction and told me the story of the old camp. The camp leader looked at me attentively. If you think that you're the only man here. I looked around at the area. Of course, Electronic is totally just so feminine. Electronic was quick to flee. But isn't Shurik his friend? Oh my goodness. Electronic, you fucking wimp. If you ask me, I would... go with Oyana. No, God, no. Go Lena, no. Elisa, definitely not. No. No. Probably not. Probably. This, honestly, I'd want to go alone, but, you know, this seems like one of the situations where if you were going, I would not want to go alone. I'd probably say, hey, give me your reliable, like, good citizen there, Slavia. I'm sure she'll be great, for helping each other. Will she agree? I looked at Slavia. She paid no attention to me. Looks like it's not my day. Am I going there alone? Olga looked thoughtful. Perhaps you're right. We'll go together tomorrow morning. We stood in silence for some time, then dispersed around the camp. Oh, what? Did I, like, not do this all correctly? Did I not get the route I was supposed to? And when I was like, oh, I should go with Slavia, I was like, nope, Slavia just is ignoring me now. She doesn't like me anymore, apparently. Everybody seemingly forgot about Elisa and her terrorist act, maybe due to the minor damage it caused. Together with the camp leader, I went towards our cabin. I tried to think why Shirk would go to the old camp. He's interested in robots and cybernetics, not scary stories and ghosts. What does that boot have to do with it? I remember how I decided to wait until something extraordinary would happen, and then I realized this is it. Olga, I think I'll take a walk before bed. Just not a long one. Okay. When I reached the square, I understood that hanging around in the forest or some other strange place may not be that scary. But doing so in the dark, I didn't want to return to Olga's cabin, but I had to find a flashlight. For instance, there was one in the infirmary. I was glad I didn't spend my whole time there reading a fashion magazine. The flashlight was found quickly, and in the few minutes I was standing at the square, pulling myself together. I just had to make the final decision before I entered the forest. Moving past the pioneers' cabins, down the forest path towards the abandoned camp. I set forth. Electronic told me that the old building was built immediately after the war. It looked like a kindergarten, or like barracks, I expected, and definitely could hold fewer pioneers than today's camp. It had been abandoned for about 20 years. It was now totally dark. The forest looked totally different at night. Mysterious shadows were hiding behind the trees, strange rustlings, and cries of the night birds coming from everywhere, branches treacherously snapping under my feet. The full moon was shining, so I decided to save the battery in the flashlight. I'm sure I'll need it sometime soon. The further I moved, the more unpleasant my thoughts came to my head. I wasn't afraid of the dark at all. I didn't believe in ghosts or mystical crap, but at the same time, during the last few days I encountered so many incomprehensible phenomena that, against my own will, I started to read between the lines of the simplest things. Obviously, I felt exceptionally uneasy in the forest in the night. Everywhere I looked, every shadow, every tree or bush looked like weird creatures escaping straight from the horror movies or Stephen King novels. A branch seemed to be someone's hand, eager to grab his shoulder, a fallen log, someone's dead body. Someone who failed to get out of the forest. In every gully, I saw a bottomless abyss. If I had found myself in this forest under any other circumstances, without all the bushes and pioneer camps, of course I would still feel uncomfortable, but then I would be able to explain everything with logic and be afraid of nothing. Except for owls and mice, of course. But at the same time, there is more than enough reasons to fear. Despite all of this, I reached the old camp without any adventures. Oh, that's nice. In the little glade surrounded by the trees stood a house resembling a kindergarten. Paint peeled off the walls. Almost all the windows were broken. Broken masonry here and there, holes in the roof that looked like those made by a bombing. The front of the building was a little garden, surrounded by a rusty fence. Apparently, once it was a playground with a merry-go-round, swings, slides, and other Soviet attractions. But time is crucial. All of them were broken and mutilated by corrosion. The grass was so tall that it almost came up to my waist. The moon looked out from behind the clouds and illuminated the old camp. It seemed like everything came back to life. Windows shone with new glass, and walls looked like they had been painted with fresh paint. That still looks really corroded to me, honestly. I heard playful laughter, saw translucent children joyfully running and frolicking in the yard. A strip camp leader on the threshold, holding a basket ripe with apples in her hands. The old cleaning lady taking a nap in the shade. It sent chills down my spine. Of course, my imagination was just playing tricks on me, but the old camp itself was so similar to the post-apocalyptic pictures I had seen that these visions were no surprise. I stood undecided for a long time before I dared to go further. After all, I'm here to find Shurik. Though I still don't get what he might be doing here. If he even is here. A boot somewhere nearby doesn't mean anything. However, if he was not eaten by wolves, for some reason it seems like there's no wolves in this forest, this must be the only place where he might be hiding. I carefully crossed the yard, pushing the tall grass apart and trying not to bump into a jagged piece of metal. But I stopped in the doorway, hesitating. An impenetrable, heavy darkness stared back at me from inside. Even the bright moonlight could not illuminate any object or even highlight a silhouette. My head was filled with different thoughts that all said it's better for me to go not any further and run away quickly. But I pulled myself together, turned on the flashlight, and stepped over the threshold. Oh my goodness, creepy building time. Creepy ghost stories time. Inside the building looked like a typical kindergarten. I still remember my childhood days, and so everything here looked so very familiar. Sleeping room with lines of beds standing close to each other, a large playroom, toilets, a dining room, and utility rooms. So something else that looks familiar from from Semyon's memory. First we have this place that looked like the propaganda. Now we have this kindergarten that looks like the place that he remembered from when he was a kid. A lot of things from his memory, eh? Signs of the past children's joy were seen everywhere. From time to time, the flashlight drew my attention to the decaying doll, or plastic toy car, or punctured rubber ball, or a broken rank of tin soldiers. There's a book on the table, faded with age. I flipped through a few pages. It was a story that I had read a long time ago back in my childhood. Something about the war. Enemies destroyed the kindergarten, and all of its kids hid in the little basement together with a bunch of adults, while bombs were exploding up on the surface. I don't remember the end of the story, but as far as I remember, nobody died. Looking at the illustrations, all the emotions, fear, sadness, sympathy for the poor children, and the sense of hopelessness which I had experienced while reading those books came over me. It's strange that under these exact conditions, right here, right now, that I found this book. Probably, there's somebody who's managing this ongoing story, who writes the scenario for this absurd play, who sews costumes for her local pioneers, and creates sets like this abandoned camp. To tell the truth, he is very talented. Attention is paid to even the most minor of details. Although this place was abandoned a long time ago, everything here seemed to be untouched. Of course, time didn't spare this camp. In so many years, it had often been visited by the locals. A perfect place for young people just hitting puberty. They could drink alcohol, indulgent, amorous pleasures, or simply burn everything down just for fun. This place is like really creepy. and Semyon so lost in his thoughts anything could happen. If someone just showed up and decided to kill me, oh, I could imagine that happening. Electronic mentioned this place is full of legends. Legends of ghosts and devils living here. Take for example the story about the camp leader who committed suicide. In my world, nobody would believe it, that this could stop somebody. But in this reality, anything is possible. Certainly the fear didn't disappear, but I decided that since I'd come here, I was going to carry on to the end. The building is small, so it wasn't difficult to search it completely, but I didn't find any sign of Shurik. Maybe I should just call out to him. But on the other hand, maybe that's not such a good idea. Frustrated, I sat on the bench lobby inside. "Ghost, where are you?" I asked the camp. And all of a sudden I noticed a strange depression in the corner. A small trapdoor. An adult would barely be able to squeeze through it. And it seemed to me that it had been recently opened as the dust was cleared around it. So here's the part where I needed to be scared. So, Shurik went somewhere. And what might be lurking beneath the trapdoor? A basement? What would he be doing there? I pulled open the hatch and pointed the flashlight into the darkness. There's a ladder going down a couple of meters, ending in a concrete floor. There's a long, narrow corridor disappearing into the darkness. I hesitated for a long time. On one hand, I had absolutely no desire to go down there, but on the other hand, if Shurik really was there, I swore loudly, "Fuck!" and began to descend. Downstairs, fuck! It was so dark that even the flashlight, fuck, didn't help much. Fuck. A low ceiling, wires extending down the walls, fuck! Broken lamps, clamp, and iron bars. I'll stop now. I've seen it all somewhere. Ooh, this is actually a pretty nice picture, all things considered. I think it's, yeah, that. Now, if you look at his eyes look a bit weird here. I know he doesn't normally have eyes, but the fact that there's any lines up there at all is just sort of silly. I've seen it all somewhere. You've seen something somewhere. What did he say? A low ceiling, wires extending along the walls, broken lamps and iron bars. Something else that he's seen before. I slowly started to move deeper into the dungeon. Then again, he was talking about how this was like a cycle of dreams, wasn't it? There's something like at the beginning, the dream was cycling and it just happened over and over again and he kept remembering it. So maybe this is from the dream and not something that he's just remembering and the place is bringing together because he remembers it from his past. Moved deeper into the dungeon. The path went down and after a few dozen meters, it ended in a stairway with high steps. So I found myself in front of a massive metal door. Oh, so this looks like a nuclear bunker in case like the bombs drop or something? That would make sense. There's a sign painted on it. I looked closely and realized it was a biohazard sign. No wonder. The old camp was built after the war and it lasted until the 70s. So it's an ordinary bomb shelter and there's nothing to be afraid of. However, those thoughts made me even more scared. I made a decision and opened the door. Oh god. The sound effects are actually pretty well done here. This sort of music and the sound effects being really echoey really do make me more unsettled. Oh my goodness. I actually think something could... I'm expecting something to just jump out at me. I'm expecting like a visual novel style jump scare real soon. Which immediately shut with a sharp sound as soon as I stepped through the doorway. I shuddered strongly, my hands began to tremble, and my vision dimmed. I regained consciousness after a few seconds, and only then did I realize that apparently a strong spring was attached to the door. I found myself in a quite spacious room. In the beam of the flashlight, I could see a bunk bed, some cabinets along the walls, and several devices of unknown purpose located in the far corner. It seemed that this bomb shelter was never used. Nobody ever came here. The beds were made, which is strange in itself. I carefully looked around the room several times. The cabinets were filled with gas masks, chemical protective suits, dry rations, various domestic odds and ends. The devices, which I at first could determine the purpose of, were gauges of radiation, air pressure, temperature. In short, it was the typical bomb shelter. I've never been in such a place before, but this is how I had imagined it. Another thing that comes from Semyon's mind, at least sounds like it comes from his mind, sort of like the camp as a whole, like I was talking about in a previous episode. So this is like so supporting my general belief of what this whole place is about. Not how it's happening, or I mean, other than the possible dream thing, but that this is like a place that comes from Semyon's mind more than anything. The only thing that remained unexplored was the door at the other end of the room. I pulled the handle, but the door remained closed. If someone had recently came down here, he wasn't found in this room, then it would be logical to assume that he was behind this door. I called out in a whisper, "Sharek?" No reply. Maybe he locked himself out, but why? It was unclear what I should do next. Perhaps it would be smarter to come back tomorrow with help, but for some reason I had a feeling that behind this door I would find answers that can't wait to be found. I walked across the room and took a crowbar from the corner. I wedged it under the bottom of the door and tried to rip it from its hinges. Oddly enough, after a while, I did just that. Fortunately, it wasn't as massive as the previous door. Oh god, it actually just fell. Okay, good job, Semyon, not getting crushed under that. The door gave out and slammed onto the floor. I took a deep breath and pointed the flashlight down the passage. And another corridor. A corridor vanished into the darkness. The same one as the one which brought me here. I feel as though I'm going to get answers, there's going to be like a jump scare, or I'm not going to get answers, and there's going to be a jump scare. Oh my goodness, I'm so tense right now. The walls were closing in, my head almost touching the ceiling, but I could not make out the end of the corridor. I walked carefully, looking at the ground. This was the reason that I did not fall into the pit. The hole was about 1.5 meters diameter, and there was earth in the bottom instead of concrete. It seems that the hole was caused by an explosion. It wasn't too deep. I could easily climb out later. Into a railway system. Interesting. I jumped into the hole and found myself in something that resembled an old mine. Maybe this is why Shirk was taking so long to come back. He was searching this place and got into a fucking railway, which clearly is not part of the design. The mine railway. The walls and ceilings were reinforced with wooden beams, and they looked really stable, you know, like, right there. Surely nothing is going to collapse in on me. Nothing at all. The walls and ceilings were reinforced with wooden beams. The tunnel was so long that my flashlight was insufficient. A few minutes later, I found myself at a crossroads. It's too dangerous to go any further. I could get lost. I decided that would be a good idea to somehow mark the place from which I begin my journey into the labyrinth, so I picked a stone and made quite a big notch on the wall. So. Right. Okay. Okay. Does this not let me save here? This doesn't let me save here. I probably should have seen that coming, and apparently I'm stuck loading something. Okay, after previously, you know... after previously getting to that point and trying to just press buttons in order to see if I could activate the save method, the game crashed on me, so I'll be back very soon. I'll make all the same decisions. Okay, after like fast forwarding into this, the game decided to basically I didn't get to save this time either, but I got back to here pretty quickly, so if I had to choose, if I had a preference between left and right, I'd say outside of my handedness being right, I guess right. It's so hard to choose. Seems there's another fork in the road. Shoot, I'll just keep going right. Seems there's another fork in the road. Keep going right. I finally walked out of the tunnel into a large hall with a rather high ceiling. It could hardly be called a hall. They must have used to mine something here. Coal, probably, or maybe gold. The walls have been cut by pickaxes or pneumatic drills. The place was pitch black, so my only salvation was the flashlight. If it breaks, it's unlikely that I'll ever get out of here. It's a ray of light In its ray of light, I suddenly spotted a piece of red cloth. It's a pioneer's neckerchief. Shirk was obviously here somewhere. Shirk? Shirk? Only my echo answered me. But where could have he gone? There's no other way out. Maybe there's other places in the tunnel I didn't see. I should search further. It seems that there's another fork in the road. Oh, just keep going right. Another fork in the road. Keep going right. Another fork in the road. Keep going right. And on one last turn, a door appeared from the darkness. I opened it and went inside a small room. Ooh. This place isn't creepy. It almost makes me think, after like 999, like all the Zero Escape stuff, this almost makes me think that there's gonna be a puzzle in here. Obey. Obey. Oh my goodness, I don't know what that says. That looks like it might be a word or just random things. An angel. Death. Maybe I'm dead. I mean, they were talking about a guy getting hit by a bus. Maybe I ended up getting hit by that bus. And this is limbo for me or something. I opened it and went inside a small room. Nobody was here except... Oh God! There you are, Shirk! Shirk, who sat in a corner. Shirk! He stared at me with eyes full of terror. Ah, don't come near me. Shirk, it's me, Semyon. I won't give up so easily. He grabbed a piece of reinforced bar from behind his back and started waving it around. Shirk, what's wrong with you? Calm down. First you bring me here, then you take me through this mine. Now you're pretending to be Semyon. You must have gone completely nuts. Shirk, calm down. Nobody's pretending to be me. I really am me. I tried to talk as calmly as I could, but I was almost feeling more nervous than him. Semyon? He squinted. Is that really you? Yes, and tell me what happened. How did you get here? Shirk recovered his breath and started to talk. I need some parts for the robot. And I heard that there's a bomb shelter in the old camp. There could be some instruments there. So I got up in the morning and went. He stopped for a minute, trying to deal with the trembling of his hands. I found suitable parts, but then... I read primal fear in his eyes. The voices, they told me to go here. I went down the mine. They're telling me to go to the right, then the left, then the right, then the left, then the right, then the left. He started to laugh hysterically. And now, they won't get me. I'll stay sitting here. They won't find me here. He once again started to wave his pipe in the air. Shirk, there's no one here. I've wasted quite a lot of time walking in this mine like you, but I didn't hear any voices. He fixed his eyes on me. Then you're with them. No. No. Shirk rushed towards me. I was just barely able to dodge him. But the flashlight wasn't as lucky. It took the full force of Shirk's blow. We found ourselves in complete darkness. Now it was my turn to lose my mind. What have you done, you idiot? I lashed out with my hand in the direction where I expected Shirk to be, but to no avail. Now we both die here. I got nothing but silence in return, and then a quiet hysterical laugh. It's alright, that's fine. I know where the exit is, follow me. Follow you where? I can't see a damn thing. And were you just trying to kill me? Were you just trying to kill me? Pretty sure you're just trying to kill me. Follow my voice. I had no other choice. Here. Shirk's voice was heard from somewhere further on. How do you know where to go? I walked all over here. Then why didn't you leave? The voices. Quiet, they can hear us. In theory, I could believe that there are some supernatural forces here. In the Semyon camp, they'd just be a daily occurrence. There's no reason to panic yet. I thought my hands were shaking non-stop. Here. I slowly followed his voice and eventually lost track of time. We could have been roaming for a few minutes or a few hours. Finally, a dim light appeared in the distance. We're here. We reached the wall. The way towards freedom was blocked by a lattice on the ceiling. I pulled myself up and recognized the square from the bits of landscapes I could see. Lift me up. Shirk obediently followed my request. I started to hit by grating with my fist so hard that in just a few strikes my arms were all covered in blood. but in return, the grating gave way and pushed open. A minute later, we were out on the surface, behind the monument of Genda. When I saw this grating, before I had no idea it could be catacombs below it. They will come for you. I fell to the ground, exhausted. Who? They will come, said Shurk again and ran away. I was so exhausted that I could not even be bothered to think about some voices recalling the forsaken camp, the bomb shelter, that mine. Almost unconscious, I reached the camp leader's cabin, but I couldn't get to bed right away. Well, look who's here. Hey, I did you a favor, so don't fucking bitch at me this time. Olga. I started tiredly, attempting to cut the explanation to a minimum. You said you were going for a walk, but instead I was going to call the police. And Olga, can I wait until tomorrow? I am really tired. Camp leader eyed me all over. Okay, fine. I was surprised she agreed so fast, but decided not to waste this opportunity and quickly turned the light off and darted under the covers. And day 5. Okay, I'm gonna call this an episode here. I do not know. Well, I don't know how close I am to the end, but a new day started, so obviously there's a bit left. I'm gonna keep going though in this current one, but so if there is another episode's worth, then this will end right here, and I'll post another episode in a few days. I'll make sure this next one comes out really quickly, because it'll probably be the ending, at least for this route, and then I'll start checking if there are more like a true route ending or something, or try to get good ends for some of the characters, maybe the good ones. See what options there are for endings and see what I get here. Other than that, see you all later. If this keeps going after I'm talking here, I might just cut this out, my talking here. I might, if this is not enough left in order to make another episode out of. But if there isn't, then I will proceed to just keep going after this. And this will be like in the middle of the video. I might keep it in just because how funny that would be. Okay.